Hello everyone, this is Chandani with WeDharma.com. I have the great privilege of introducing my spiritual father, Guru Shabad of Golden Bridge. Guru Shabad and Gurmukh were the first human beings in this lifetime to introduce me to the path of becoming a seeker, which is an ongoing process. And since the beginning of your journey with Yogi Bhajan, who introduced you to Kundalini Yoga, do you feel that your spiritual path has changed?
Well, I wasn't a vegetarian when I first met him. I didn't drink or use drugs very much, but it wasn't outside of my realm if I felt like it. But, you know, all those things are gone out of my life now. They're just not part of my life. And my discipline has changed, and what means something to me and what I want to accomplish in my life is all completely different. I feel it's always an ongoing evolution. It's always changing. Day to day it's changing. Just, you know, each morning when you do your sadhana and you meditate and messages come and you're just constantly revising your attitudes towards life and attitudes towards people. The Dalai Lama last week when we were in San Jose said, if you use the three jewels, your teachings, your sangat, the Dharma, then you gradually evolve to a place of wisdom, and you enact the wisdom, and then the wisdom leads you to enlightenment. And so it's this ongoing process towards that. Enlightenment, this lifetime, another lifetime, who knows? Who cares? The point is, find what you're supposed to do and do it.
Question of Dharma, which is what we investigate on We Dharma, your life's purpose, the aspect that you were born to achieve the maximum capacity to, or have the ability to. How would you define that for yourself?
Well, yes, I found my Dharma. My Dharma is the path of a Sikh. And not in the religious context, but in the context of the true teachings of what a Sikh is, which is, as you said earlier, a seeker. And so we seek to know what the ultimate truth is, because the world as we view it through our senses is all circumstantial truth. It's my eyes see, but my eyes only see 5%, 10% of the spectrum of light. My eyes do not see 90% of what light has to offer. So how much reality is there in what I really see? Same with my ears. My dogs hear things I don't hear. What's the reality of what I hear? And so in Dharma, the path of righteousness, students of Guru Nanak, Satnam, the true identity, the ultimate truth, that has no beginning, has no middle, has no end, has no good, has no bad, has no left, has no right, beyond mind, beyond time, beyond space, all those things. We could keep going and going and going. What is it? It's an experience. So you have to have a practice and a way of living that keeps you moving towards that experience.
Understanding that there's more to what we see and what we hear, as you say. Do you feel that being a Sikh now in the 21st century, in the year 2010, is different than when you began your journey into being a Sikh, and what that means for you as far as what you wear and the turban and what you feel inside as far as the practice of the sadhana?
Well, the spiritual experience is a personal experience. You can't group it into a group of people. What the teachings that I use in my life are basically ones that just work for me and speak to me and vibrate at a frequency that I vibrate at. So it works, and it's evolving. Does it work for somebody else? Each person has to make that decision, what works for them. Does being a Catholic work for you? Does being a Jew work for you? Does being agnostic work for you? Does being, not believing there's any God at all? Does being a scientist work for you? But the question is here, is what is it that we're saying works for someone? Simple. If you're happy all the time, it's working for you. If you're not happy all the time, then you need to look at what you're doing, because it's not working for you.
Are you happy most of the time?
All the time. I'm not occasionally I get angry about something, but that's my problem. It's nobody else's problem. Really, ultimately, the world is an upside down mess. It's in the absolute state of complete corruption. Every government, every religion, organized religion, it's all completely corrupted. So now's the time to be a yogi. One who is unaffected by the pair of opposites. One who can, in his own identity and completeness and personal happiness, can move through the insanity without being affected by it. And just realize it's insanity. It has nothing to do with why any of us came to this planet. Everybody's been diverted off to the reason they came from the planet. Dharma is the reason every human came to the planet. But 99.9% of people are diverted off that path by Maya itself, by the illusion, by the pretty girls, by the alcohol, by the drugs, by the this, you know, all the pleasures of our senses. And we're not like purists that are abstained from everything. It's that anything that interferes with where I need to go, I'm going to eliminate from my life. Alcohol, for example. I'm not going to drink alcohol, not because I think it's right or it's wrong, but because it interferes with my pituitary gland. This is my third eye, my sense of knowing the unknown, seeing the unseen. If this doesn't work, I can't work at my job.
In the yogic world, in the spiritual world of the 21st century, it seems that the shamanism aspect of seeking has become quite prolific, and people are dabbling into, you know, plant medicine trips like ayahuasca and mushrooms. How do you feel about that type of a resurgence of experimentation with plant medicines in the shamanistic tradition?
Well, everybody's looking for, I'll use the word God because I like the word God. Everybody's looking for some experience of the truth. And if there's a limited knowledge of some technology to get there without using some alternative ingested chemical, because that's all any of them are, whether it's produced in a lab or it's produced in a plant, then maybe that gives someone an altered experience of consciousness that lets them know that my senses are not telling me the full story. But in terms of a sustained reality of the truth and experiencing the truth and reaching that state of consciousness, it's not going to happen with a drug. You have to do it. All the drugs are right here. They're in me already. All I have to do is manipulate the energy in order to experience what's already encoded within me to happen. And outside drugs, you know, they serve a very limited purpose in that reality. But if you depend on those outside drugs to experience some altered state of consciousness, you'll get whatever that drug has to offer. But what is really being offered by the universe is much vaster than that. One thing I would like to add, though, that Yogi Bhajan did say about drugs is what happens with drugs is you use an overstimulation of a chemical to stretch the nerves. And in that, he likened it to, if you take a little cube of silver and you put it through, they have these little presses to make them into silver leaf, or you stretch it out thin into a wire, you can't go like this and push it back together. And the same thing happens with the nerve endings. When you overstretch them to get an hallucinogenic experience, they don't come back together very well. And so you do damage when you use drugs. Yeah, there's a price for using drugs. Now, you know, it's not again to say it's right or wrong.
So my love for you and Gurmukh is unbounded, because you first two people that told me anything about my being or introduced me to it. Obviously everyone's life is in their own hands, and I have this deep love and appreciation for you, and through that I can see how devoted and how appreciative you are to Yogi Bhajan.
Well, he is for me still what he was when he was alive. I mean, anytime I have a question, I have a Tratakon picture and I set it up and you meditate on it. And not always that the answer comes right there while you're meditating on the picture, but the answer always pops in through your intuitive mind sooner or later within a few days. So in that sense, you know, in the teachings of Kundalini Yoga, we have the golden chain. It's a chain of student, teacher, going all the way back to Guru Ram Das and beyond. And So that chain, once you develop your subtle body, it's just like having a physical relationship through the subtle body, having a relationship that way. You know, the physical relationship is through these senses, and the subtle relationship is through this sense. So what's the difference? He's still here in a way, and my relationship with him now is 10 times deeper than it was then, because my meditative mind is so much more matured now than it was back then. I didn't understand 3/4 of what he was saying in those days. And I watch, you know, over there's a whole bunch of videos on DVDs. I watch those now and I go, oh, that's what he was saying. So again, all spiritual teachers are, as he said it so beautifully, is a relationship between a piece of stone, your ego, and the teacher's the hammer and the chisel. They just chisel away at your ego. So it's a cantankerous relationship when he is in his physical body. And it's a relationship that you're very lucky to get in a lifetime, because there aren't a lot of really, truly great spiritual teachers on the planet in this day and age, because we're in the Kali Yuga, we're in the Dark Age.
Well, there's a lot of lightness around Golden Bridge, considering we're living in the Dark Age.
Well, that's because people come here and meditate all the time, and they do yoga all the time, and everyone who comes here is on the same purpose. That's the power of Sangha. That's the power of Sangha, of company, of people on the same path. When you're on the same path together, you all are supporting one another, and that's what, you know, Gurmukh's and my mission is with yoga studios, is to provide a space, and Tej and everybody, Marlene, everyone who works here has that same goal, is to provide a space for people to grow. I truly believe the world never changes, will never change until consciousness changes. And consciousness is a function of a much larger picture, you know, like the entire universe and where everything is in the cycle. But the cycle is coming for a spiritual reality and a spiritual humanity. And there'll be a lot of upheaval, there'll be a lot of change, there'll be a lot of chaos, but it's already written. It's where people live in harmony together, people control their wholes. They control their eyes, they control their ears, they control their mouth, they control their sex organs into a space where and that we all understand that we're all related, and that we're all coexistent together, and somebody suffering in Africa has impact on me, even though I might be so asleep I don't think it does, or somebody suffering in India, or somebody suffering in Southeast Asia. All the people that are suffering on this planet, you add them up together and they're creating a very achy vibration that's hurting. And so, you know, by creating teachers of Dharma, whatever Dharma, like Baron Baptiste is doing in Africa is fantastic, so that Sean Corn is doing, there's a lot of yogis starting to do a lot of good work. And, you know, we as yogis, yeah, Gurmukh and I are part of a quote-unquote religion, but we're not. You know, there's probably nobody on the planet, other than my teacher himself, who's more anti-religious than me, in terms of religion that's corrupted and doesn't bring you to the truth.
Yeah, it's like we have to celebrate our individuality, our unique voice that we're put here for.
Yeah, exactly. We all have a unique voice and a unique way of expressing it.
Well, I love you, and thank you to you and Gurmukh for providing the soil and the fertilizer for me to plant my garden.
Very good.